So it really comes down to just finding that right opportunity for you. And we're here to guide you on that journey. So Dennis, I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you to the viewers because you're really the reason that we do this. So Dennis, we got the first podcast kicked off. I greatly appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Josh. Much appreciated.
Thank you. I think if I hit end, it's just gonna like end the Zoom. So I just want to say thank you, Dennis. This was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. You're ruined now for the future, though.
No, not at all. This is awesome. And I'm gonna call Jeff as well right now. So I'll give you some feedback shortly. But he's super excited about the opportunity. So I'm really excited.
Oh, that's great. No, that's really good. Well, thanks for having me. And if you ever want to do it again or a short take for anything, then
Yeah,
I
let's
just
do it.
talk. I'm just passionate about what we do. That's all. So
No,
I don't
yeah,
need
I
a
think
script for anything.
what would be cool, especially as I do hand candidates up, especially once we get the first successful candidate, I can do like a podcast on his journey and we'll start to tie you in there as well.
Sure.
So that could be really cool as well because the business model is so attractive. And I work with a lot of people, or I guess I have a lot of kind of connections in that corporate America world where, the business to business model is so attractive and people just don't really understand the education process. And the scalability is it's just such an attractive model. So I'm very excited.
I will tell you, and this is just me to you, that,
Yeah.
as an accountant, I advised lots of people over time when I was doing that. And, I can't tell you how many times that they thought they were good cooks, so they got into a food business. They thought they had good fashion sense, so they got into a fashion business. They were good at sports, they got into a sports business. Biggest mistake people can make. They ruin their passion by getting into a business, unless it's a really good business model, then okay. But a lot
Yeah.
of times they just look at it something they want in their heart. Their emotion overruns their logic. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's the biggest mistake ever. There's a doctor shouldn't be baking donuts for God's sakes.
Yeah.
A CEO shouldn't be selling burgers,
Right.
unless they've got 5 locations, that's different.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just me to you.
No, it's really what happens because, as a broker, you're supposed to pay for like the lead portals where you pay for these certain ones. And really the goal is someone comes in on a certain brand, but that's not necessarily what aligns with what they're looking for. And really just this candidate, Jeff, for example, he had looked at Dogtopia a few years ago, but he's the business to business executive. There's countless dog franchises out there all competing with each other. It just doesn't, it seems sexy at first. It seems like a cool model. A lot of times also people, it's the friend validation. It's cool to say, you're owning this hot new franchise that people are actually going to physically go to, rather than actually the stuff that provides that value over decades and decades.
That's right. I mean, is there really a barrier to competition to whatever service you're providing? If anybody else can do what they're doing, and then it shouldn't even really be franchised because there's no secret sauce. There's no 12 herbs and spices, they got to have that too. And sometimes I look at some of the models, some of them are great. Others are just, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What do you, and why would anybody be doing that with you? But they do,
No, it's so
so
funny. And yeah, that's awesome. That's what I like. That I always say the not sexy models, the ones that people actually need, the value, those are the ones where you're not selling anything. You're just providing that value or good that
there's
people need.
there's been way too many fad type franchises over time, and they
Yeah.
come and then they go, and then all of a sudden franchising gets a bad name because of that, and that's why the FDD restrictions are so stringent, just because of that. And so
Yeah.
I'd much rather have somebody in a good solid business that's got good support and a good model, and I know I can do it. That's what I want to know before I get into a franchise. Not that, hey, it's really cool and it's new.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I think so many franchises have failed that it has ruined the name a little bit. I think that was one of the stereotypes that I haven't really put together. But yeah, that's a
That's why the
really
FDD came out in the first place. When the FTC first issued it,
yeah.
40 years ago, it's because franchisors were taking advantage of franchisees. It's the
Yeah.
same reason unions exist. Businesses took advantage of workers, but now unions have gone so far, and now the FDD and the FTC are going way too far too. Although
Um,
some of the franchises have to be controlled, but it harms the rest of us.
yeah.
So anyway, I can talk to you about that for
Yeah.
hours as well.
I appreciate your hour, Dennis. This is awesome.
No
Have,
problem.
have an awesome weekend and we'll be connected. I appreciate your
Okay.
time.
Thanks, Josh. So
Thank
long.